Let's go over the bucket system for this week's Masters tournament. Now, if you're new to the channel and have no idea what the bucket system is, don't worry, I got you covered. I have created a video that explains all about it, and you can find a link for that video down in the description of this one. Now, if you don't have time to watch or listen, you can go to SweetSpotDFS.com where I have written an article that explains all about it. Just find the Fantasy Tools dropdown, go under Articles, and find the bucket system. Again, this explains it in its full entirety. The too long didn't read version of that entire bucket system is I look at lead-in data. The bucket system looks at lead-in data and determines what stats truly matter. I don't think anyone else in the industry looks at lead-in data, period. They just look at what has happened at a particular event over the years and tries to figure out what stats from those performances matter and try to then pair it up with golfers that have good stats, those good stats coming into the event. I don't see how that does you any good unless you are analyzing every single year's events, what the performances were compared to the lead-in data. Like, that makes sense, right? So that's what I've done. I've created a tool that will show you which stats matter, and that is the bucket system. Now, in this video, I'm mostly going to be going over the projections of each of these buckets to try to figure out if they're correct. I guess furthermore, to explain that more, we have found out this year there's a such thing called the Scotty effect, where he can be in one of these buckets and add one result to the projection to make it successful, but not be in a lineup that wins you any money or wins you any good money. Like, you wouldn't have an opportunity to win a GPP because he's finishing 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or outside the top 5, where at his price tag, he kind of has to finish inside the top 5. I mean, I've shown you in different videos that sometimes he doesn't have to, but that would require someone at a lower price to be successful at that event. And what we've learned, I mean, I've put out a lot of content already, especially the 6.5 hour stream that I did with Byron. We combed through past Masters performances, past leaderboards, and it just shows you that high price golfers do really well at the Masters, whereas low price golfers do not. So it's very difficult if Scotty's not winning this event to put Scotty in any relevant or any successful lineup. It might not happen. So going over the projections, we basically want to look to see where Scotty is, where what buckets he's going to represent, and probably lower the projection down by 1. Because if he does represent that, I mean, you know, we can almost predict he's going to be successful at the Masters. And we just kind of have to, unless you're going to play him, don't get me wrong, if you're going to play him, perfect. I'm not going to argue against that. But for the rest of us, or just for, you know, to do this the most intelligent way, I think we do need to drop down those projections and try to figure out the rest of the buckets. Are there good enough golfers in each of them to make those projections worthwhile? So it's kind of a long way of explaining that. If you're still with me, appreciate it. Let's just dive right on in. And I guess I forgot to mention this, but you guys can follow along. Go to SweetSpotDFS.com. Under Fantasy Tools, go to Cheat Sheet. Go to the cheat sheet. And I already showed you on the screen, but if you scroll down and you find this cheat sheet right here, this is a Google sheet. You can either use what's on the screen, or you can click the click here button, which will open up the actual Google sheet, and you can find the bucket system down below. So you can follow along with me throughout this entire time. If you kind of want to do your own thing, I also have a tool called the bucket system on SweetSpotDFS.com. And the beautiful thing about this, it won't have projections because I haven't been able to add them to the website just yet. But if you wanted to drill down into each of these buckets and then scroll down on the page, you can find the golfers that have represented each of those buckets in the past. You can select whatever year you want to look at, and you can find which golfers, again, represented that bucket, which ones were successful, which ones weren't. Because honestly, looking at both of those key pieces will give you a better idea of which golfers to target this week. So all of this is available to you. This is behind a paywall. This bucket system is behind a paywall, but the cheat sheet is not. That is free for you guys to use. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So what I want to do is, first of all, zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. But I want to filter out all the buckets except for the last year buckets. So we have 6 buckets for this stat category, and they go by ranges. So last year one, these are golfers who finished inside the top 20 last year. This projection is 2 to 5. And before I get further into it, another thing I forgot to mention, I will be updating the buckets on the optimizer that I will be using Tuesday night. When I go live, I build lineups for people. And when I go live, I'm going to be using this optimizer. But I'm going to make these adjustments now so we're ready for that Tuesday stream. And if you want access to this optimizer, go to SweetSpotDFS.com and under Fantasy Tools, click on Optimizer. You'll come to this page. This pop-up will appear. You just go ahead, put your email right in here and request now. I need to see this with my own eyeballs before sending it to you. And I'm creating this video before I have the PGA or before I have the tee times for the Masters. So you can see I have a little disclaimer down here that says after the PGA Tour publishes the tee times, I will then send the optimizer to you. So just be patient with me. I know for sure the Masters sometimes goes really late into Tuesday, sometimes even into Wednesday before they provide the tee time. So hopefully I have them before Tuesday night's stream. That way I can get these optimizers out to you guys and go from there. But anyways, back to the projections. Last year ones, 2 to 5. So I'm going to go into, you know what? I'm going to go into the cheat sheet that I have on SweetSpotDFS.com. This is just the faster way to do it. Click on the little bucket icon and go to last year ones. 19 total golfers. And what do you know? We already have Scotty Scheffler in this bucket. Now, again, if I go to this projection, it says 2 to 5. So that's basically where we're going to try to figure out, do we want 2 to 5 golfers from this bucket? First things first, Scotty's in this bucket. I'm dropping down the minimum to 1 right away, unless I see a different route to put at least 2 golfers in here. And I think based off of how many 9K golfers and above that we have, I think it's going to be pretty easy. Bryson and Rahm are going to be popular no matter what. I also find those golfers to be worthwhile to put in our lineups. And then you also have, you know, Ludwig, who just played well last week. We've got Xander, which I know is another popular choice for a lot of people. Patrick Reed will also be a popular choice. So, you know what? I'm going to keep the projection 2 to 5. I said I was going to drop it down, but I'm pretty cool with keeping this 2 to 5. The rest of the golfers down here don't really give me much excitement. You know, is there a possibility that, I mean, I guess if you wanted to filter down a little bit more and we just look at salary 1 and 2, which is our 9 and 10K range, we've got 9 golfers that way. So 9 of our 19 golfers are 9K and above. Is there a possibility that 4 of these guys finish inside the top 10? I could see that, right? We could see Bryson inside the top 10. We could see Rahm inside the top 10 and Scheffler inside the top 10. We could see those 3 golfers. The only issue is you can't put Scheffler with any of them. You could make a lineup with Rahm and DeChambeau, but I think Byron and I went over this during our mega preview. If you started your lineups that way, you're left with like $7,100 left or something like that, or $7,300 left. And that's where lineups can become a little dicey. where it might not be smart to try to drop that far down. So, are there enough golfers right here on this list? We can make a justification to say, hey, we want to play at least 2 of these golfers. And I mean, Xander's kind of the easy pivot, right? Or not so much pivot, but he's the easy choice. Playing Xander with a Rahm or a DeChambeau, it might be the perfect start to lineups. And if you wanted to pivot, I mean, you've got Ludwig here. If you're not afraid of Collin Morikawa's back injuries, you could play Collin Morikawa as well. You know, those are all options that are on the table. And I mean, I don't really have an issue going that route. Now, to bring everybody else back in, you know, we want to take a look at the golfers underneath the 9,000. Hey, I could see Jordan Spieth doing well here. I could see him finishing inside the top, top 10 might be a stretch, but he could still have a good enough finish at $8,400 that might prove beneficial in your lineups. It might actually help your lineups become more successful. Same kind of goes with Corey Connors or Jason Day. So, a long-winded way to say this projection, I'm going to keep 2 to 5. I'm going to keep the 5 number there because it's like, it doesn't really matter. It might be just so difficult to get up to 5 golfers from this bucket in a lineup anyways, because of how many expensive golfers there are. So we're going to leave it as is. Moving on to the next bucket, which is last year 2s. These are golfers who finished somewhere between that 20 to 40 range. Looks like we've got 17 golfers in there. Again, I'll go to the cheat sheet, put in last year 2s, and I will deselect last year 1s. So therefore, we're only looking at the golfers that we want to. And I mean, Tommy Fleetwood represents this bucket, and he's one of my favorite choices this week. But then we also have Matt Fitzpatrick. Those 2 golfers alone probably garner quite a bit of ownership. They're going to be popular, but also for good reason, right? We do have almost half of our golfers here. I think this is half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. More than half are 6K golfers. There was a reason to play a 6K golfer. It might be from this bucket. Otherwise, you know, it could also be a reason to fade that bucket. All you need from the last year 2 is 1 to 3. 1 to 3. So I guess the argument is, can we play more than 3? I don't see a reason why to play more than 3. When we look at the golfers that we see, the only confident ones that I have are Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick. Now, could you make a lineup with Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, and somebody else? You could. You could actually put Matsuyama in this lineup. But the previous bucket was a 2 to 5 bucket. I'm going to keep that as is, and I expect we're going to at least play 1 9K from that range, if not 2. So the funny thing here is, you know, the lineups that start with Rahm drop into Xander. So you do the 10 into the 9, and then we go to the last year 2 bucket. We can drop to Fitzpatrick, which is just going to be a very common lineup build. Here's a interesting pivot to making sure we grab golfers from these buckets. Let's add Tommy from this bucket, the last year 2 bucket. Go back into the last year 1 bucket, and our substitution, we can do it kind of a couple different ways. I'm going to add Jordan Spieth. So Jordan Spieth is going to be my 8K golfer instead of Matt Fitzpatrick. So there's already that pivot, and we're using the bucket system for these pivots. So instead of Fitzpatrick, we'll go to Spieth. And then we're going to put Tommy Fleetwood in our lineup from that other bucket, which means we either have to sub out Xander Schauffele or perhaps sub out one of these 10K golfers. So if we were to go Rahm Xander, maybe we bring in Tommy instead of Rahm. We still play Xander, so we start with 96 and then we go down to 93. And then we have an $8,400 golfer. It leaves us with a lot of salary that we can still play with. And we still have our 2 golfers here, but again, we could go up to 3 golfers if we wanted to. And if you wanted to live in that 9K range, I suppose you could, but I don't really like 3 9s and then an 8. 2 9s and an 8 would be fine, and maybe we can grab another 8 somewhere else. because I'm not quite sure how I feel about Tyrrell Hatton here in the 8K range here. I guess what were the other 8K golfers under the last year twos? Hovland, Justin Thomas. Oh my gosh. So we could actually go like Justin Thomas and Fleetwood. So 93 and 83. And then do Xander at 96. And then Jordan Spieth at 84. And we've got this 9988 start, which actually seems pretty reasonable. Here's the thing. Here, let's do this right now. We can do this on the optimizer. And so we can go Xander with Fleetwood. And then we have Jordan here. And we'll go with JT. Again, these don't have the tee times, like the marquee tee times that I typically go over, but just to kind of cover this, see what it does, what it looks like. So we build a lineup like this, and we add Jake Knapp and Kurt Kitayama to it. Sounds pretty fantastic. A 998876. That's actually a pretty decent lineup to build. That just lineup structure altogether is pretty good. But I guess, do you want to see what it would look like if we went with, you know, take Jordan out and our other substitution was Matt Fitzpatrick. We can keep Xander there and then also do a Rahm and then build a lineup like this. Let's see what shows up. This lineup is very interesting. Rahm, Schauffele, Fitzpatrick, Siwoo Kim, Harry Hall, and Kitayama. If you're worried about high ownership, it just depends. Do any of these guys creep into 30%? And if they do two of these golfers creep into 30%? Because yeah, collective ownership or cumulative ownership, it might be an issue with a lineup like this, but I guarantee you these three golfers will be, geez, like 5% or less. Especially Harry Hall. Harry Hall might be a 3% golfer. Siwoo might be a 7% golfer, and then Kurt Kitayama will also be like a 3% golfer. But if we wanted to, maybe we didn't like Siwoo Kim, and we kick out Siwoo and we try to put in somebody else. So I need to find Siwoo. There's Siwoo. Let's kick him out and see what an alternative lineup would be with these guys. It's basically the same thing. I mean, we get Jake Knapp, JJ Spawn, and Harry Hall. So 10-9-8-7-7-6. If you've been to this channel before, you recognize that jingle. That is a very common, successful lineup build. But those are options, right? And the optimizer itself, so we locked in 3 golfers. We locked in 2 last year ones and 1 last year 2. The optimizer did not try to select more because there is another bucket that we probably need to talk about when we get there. But yeah, I guess we'll take a look at that when we get there. All right, moving on. Don't want to spend too much time on each of these buckets. This video will be way too long. Last year 3s. This would be a 0 to 2. If you're kind of confused by that, I always want a 2-point buffer between the min and the max. We always drop the min down. We always round down, I should say, and we always round up with the max projection. But this would be a 0 to 1 bucket, but I always make it a 2-point buffer because of just doing this for so long. I know that's the right thing to do, so that's what we're going to do. Let's take a look at these last year 3s. Again, go to the cheat sheet under the bucket filters. We just click on the last year 3s. We have 8 golfers in this bucket. Starts with Shane Lowry. We have Batia, Minwoo, Sam Burns, JJ Spawn, Wyndham Clark, Echeverria, and Danny Willett. None of these golfers tell me I have to play anybody. I could also just be comfortable with playing only one of them, but I certainly do not want to play more than 2. So this projection as 0 to 2, I think is spot on. We're not going to spend any more time talking about it. There are 0 golfers in the last year 4 bucket. So we move on to the last year 5 bucket, which are golfers who missed the cut at the Masters last year. This is one of those buckets to look at because there will be notable names, and whether or not we should play them or not kind of comes down to this. What golfers are in this bucket? Very notable name right away. So again, this is a 0 to 2 bucket. We don't see a large success out of this bucket, and on average, we see 18. This year, we only have 15. A good chunk of strength of field points that go towards it, but I mean, optimal lineup has never had more than 2 golfers from this bucket inside the optimal lineup. So I think 0 to 2 is a fair projection, but when we look at the golfers in this bucket, look at the golfers. Cam Young, Bobby Mack, Brooks Koepka, Sepp Straka, Russell Henley, Cam Smith, Nikolai Højgaard, Adam Scott, Sergio, DJ, Keegan, and then we get these low 6Ks that we don't really have to worry about. 15 golfers, ladies and gentlemen. There are more than 2 golfers that are noteworthy. Cam Young, just winning the Players' Championship 4 weeks ago, seems like a pretty good choice. Seems like a very good course fit. Bobby Mack, there's a lefty narrative that people like to play. I don't think Bobby Mack, to me, is that great to play at this golf course. So I really don't care to play Bobby Mack. And if I have to make decisions, because again, the projection of this bucket is 0 to 2, I'd much rather play Cam Young. I'd much rather play Cam Young than Bobby Mack. Brooks Koepka is an interesting choice. I do like Brooks Koepka this week. When it comes to this bucket, it's just going to have to be equal opportunity, I guess, for me, because I'm not anchoring around any of these golfers. Sepp Straka, I covered this with Byron. Having a last year miscut as well as a last week miscut, not a great omen. Same thing applies with Russell Henley. And what I mean by omen is I use this bucket system on SweetSpotDFS.com. Basically what I did is I went into the last year 5s, clicked on this, scrolled down to the results page right here, and basically sorted by last week. I don't think you could, maybe we can go in here and select last week 5s. Nah, that breaks. Yeah, there's a weird connection issue when it comes to this filter and the rest of them. So just by sorting it from top to bottom, when we scroll down, we could actually do it the other way. Here are all the missed cuts from last week. Once you get down here and you see the under last week, you see the 85s. So in the 85s match, these are all of them. I can't scroll down any further. Here are the finishing positions right here. You can see the finishing positions on the screen. So if we cover the best finishes, let me just name them off for you. There's a 20th place finish from Ian Poulter from 2014, 42nd, 25th, missed cut, 44th, missed cut, 22nd, missed cut, 39th, 53rd, 38th, missed cut, 56th, 25th, 38th, 14th with Lee Westwood from 2022, second place in that same year with Lee Westwood. That's Rory. So are any golfers in this current bucket that we're about to go back to, are they similar to Rory? Like, no, not at all. Then we get a miscut, a 46th, a 32nd, or a 38th, and a 25th. I would also note the name value that comes with each of these golfers, the price tags that come with each of these golfers. Just based off of the salaries that I have, or that I had for the years that I had all this data, that I have the data, I should say, really only one golfer was more than $8,000, and that's Rory McIlroy. I shouldn't say more than $7,000 is Rory McIlroy, because everybody else lived in that 7K range and below. And so that just, all that means we don't have a lot of examples of guys who missed the cut last year and missed the cut last week. So you can do one of two things with this type of information. One is we could go look. I mean, I guess this bucket is going to show you. These are the only 2 golfers that apply this week. Sepp Straka and Russell Henley. If you needed a reason not to play them, I just gave it to you. Is that a coup de grace as to not playing them? Absolutely not. It doesn't mean you should just ignore them. I would say this: don't play both of them. I think that would be a very poor decision. I think you're dead on arrival as soon as you put those 2 golfers in your lineup together. But yeah, play them at your own risk. It actually makes me not want to play them that much more. When I move down the list, Cam Smith, live golfer, some okay results there, but most of the time, I just don't know what to do with him. Nikolai Højgaard might be one of the favorite plays for a lot of people. And personally, I don't hate it, but I'm not trying super hard to put Nikolai in my lineups. Very talented, but if everybody in the industry is going to be talking up Nikolai, I guess I just don't care. I really do like Adam Scott, but now I'm kind of concerned because there are other golfers in this bucket that I like quite a bit. And I guess what I'll do is probably set exposure levels for each of these guys. Like, I really like Cam Young. I like Brooks Koepka. I guess, to be honest with you guys, the only 3 golfers I really care about is Cam Young, Brooks Koepka, and Adam Scott. The rest of them, I don't really care. I could keep their exposure levels very, very low, like talking like 4%, 6%. By exposures, I mean max ownership that I'm going to play them at. Adam Scott, I guess what I'll end up doing is probably just keep him at 14% for exposure, because this bucket just does not make me feel super confident, despite the fact that I do like Adam Scott. And he and Nikolai have minus Cam Young and Bobby Mack, but he and Nikolai have really good recent form, some of the best heading into the Masters. So keep that in mind. I probably spent way too much time on this bucket. Let's move on to the last bucket we want to talk about. Last year's 6s. Now, this is the thing. On the optimizer, I have this as a 1 to 3 bucket. This might, having this many minimums over or 1 or more might be an issue. So last year's 6s, let's take a look. And these are golfers who did not play last year, including golfers who have 0 course history. Your most expensive golfer is Chris Gotterup, followed by Siwoo Kim. That's why Siwoo was in that one lineup, one of the first lineups that we built. There are notable names. Don't get me wrong. How many golfers are in this bucket? 32. 32, and on average, we see 31. We've seen 0. Here's the thing. Look at the optimal lineups. We've seen at least 1 inside the optimal lineup. This is where the bucket system on the website it pays dividends. This is where you actually want to go to the website, go to the bucket system, and try to figure out, okay, if we drill down on last year's 6s, I'm going to scroll all the way down. So there's this page right here, or this tool right here, but there's another tool down below. And none of the bucket totals have been selected. So this is showing you all of the bucket totals for this bucket going all the way back to 2014. If I were to go ahead and put top 10 counts in here, we can see all of the years where there were 0. And it was 2 years, 2025 and 2022. 2013 doesn't count because my data starts at 2013. I wouldn't have a last year stat captured in 2013 because then I would need 2012 data. So it starts in 2014 and it moves forward. Here's the thing. So yeah, 2 years, it was 0. And 2 years, it was only 1. Otherwise, we've seen 2 or more. Now, keep these dates in mind. Keep these years in mind. 2025, 2022, 2021, and 2019. If I deselect top 10 and look at the counts, maybe they're lower numbers. Well, I guess not. 2025 was one of those years that had 32 golfers in. So that was, kind of a higher number. 2021 had a low number comparative to the rest of the golfers in that bucket. And then 2019 also was somewhat low. So, and 2022 is the other one we want to look at. So that was also under 30. And if I use this again, our average is 31. Okay, so 29 is pretty spot on with, 29 from 2022 is pretty spot on. 32 is pretty spot on with the average. 2023 is considerably under, and 28 in 2019. That actually fits the mold as well. The rest of these buckets are actually a little bit over, it looks like. They're either right on or a little bit over. I guess in 2023, there were 2, but only 23 total golfers from that bucket. So here's the other thing you can do. We have this bucket highlighted, right? Last year's 6s under the bucket system for the Masters. If we scroll down and we take a look here, let's sort by year top to bottom and actually just select the year that we want to look at. So 2025 was one of those years that were not successful. You know, if we go by finishes, we did have 2 golfers that were 14th place. And here is the misnomer, or here's where it might get a little confusing. Tom Hoge was a part of the optimal lineup last year. He finished 14th place. He scored 85.5 points, finishing 14th. Here's the things that we've learned throughout the years. So if I go back here, technically in 2025, we had 0 golfers from this bucket represented inside the top 10. And that's what our projections are looking at. Top 10 projections. Yet Tom Hoge was still in the optimal lineup. And that's what you get under the optimal lineup segment, or the optimal lineup section right there, is we've seen at least one. Now, okay, who were those golfers, right? That's kind of what we want to see. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to look to see who was a part of the optimal lineup, but we can kind of go year by year and try to figure out, you know, let's go ahead and put a filter on this positioning, or the position points here. So 1 to 20 is what I'm going to put. And we can see, okay, Ludwig would have been in your optimal lineup in 2024, along with maybe Will Zalatoris. I can't remember. 2023, Phil Mickelson at $6,400 would have been in your optimal lineup. 2022, which one would have been here, I wonder? Probably Minwoo Lee. Here, I can look at this. So 2024. No, not 20. What year was I just on? I'm sorry. Bad. 2022. Such bad short-term memory. 2022. All right. Here, yeah, Minwoo Lee. Minwoo Lee was a part of the optimal lineup, finishing 14th place. I must not have recorded that information. Oh, it's a golfer who did not play the year before. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. And this is a debutante, by the way. Debutante. I thought we were looking at missed cuts from... I'm melding everything in, but this is a debutante. I'm looking, okay, so Phil would have, yeah, Phil's the one in 2023. 2024 was Ludwig, a debutante again. 2025, our guy was Hoge, but he was not a debutante. Okay, moving on. Actually, hold on. Let's go back to this bucket system. Take a look at 2021. Who was our guy? Will Zalatoris. He was a debutante. 2020, Sung Jae-im was a debutante. Oh my God. Wow. 2019, Brooks would have been your guy. He was not a debutante. He was 9,500. So interesting. 2018, I bet you Cam Smith was a debutante in 2018. He was not. Cam Smith had. He actually had course history. Okay, good to know, but in the 6K range nonetheless. 2017, Thomas Peters was a debutante. Guys, we have a large amount of golfers from this last year's 6 bucket that were debutantes. Even Matt McCarty last year was a debutante, and he finished 14th along with Hoge, but Hoge scored more DraftKings points. Going back to this cheat sheet, everybody here is live. Everybody. Anybody, like, I don't know if that means you should be looking at debutantes. Now, most of our debutantes were in the 6K range, but they were, you know, relatively good golfers, I guess. You know, we saw them flourish as the years went on, but you know what? Anyone is live. Anybody. Chris Gotterup. What a great choice. $8,000. Why not? Guy's been just crushing it. You know, if we're looking for like a Ludwig comp, if we're looking for a Will Zalatoris comp, if we're looking for like a Sung Jae-im comp, at the years that they played the Masters as is their debut performance, they came on real strong. And I guess let's actually look at that. So I'm going to go back to 2020. Actually, let's see, 2019. That was Brooks. Nah, no. 2020. Sung JM. Okay, maybe not. 35.40 was his recent form average. If I go to Will Zalatoris was coming in with a 17th place finish. Like that average 17th place finish. 2022, Minwoo was coming in with terrible recent form. Okay. Well, this already flips it all upside down on its head. Oberger was coming in with really good recent form heading into the Masters. 2025. Yeah, we don't have any debutantes there. Okay. So, I guess everybody is live. I would much rather choose golfers that have good recent form that are debutantes, but nobody really does. Jacob Bridgman. Jacob Bridgman is your guy that would have really good recent form coming as a debutant. Or if you want to look top 20s heading into we could say the same thing with Will Zalatoris. When Will Zalatoris came in, he had 2 top 20s. He also had 2 20th place finishes also, whereas like Marco Penge would have 2 missed cuts and a 20th. But if it was just, hey, we want to find golfers that have had at least 2 top 20s. Well, there you go. Marco Penge could be a good choice for a debutant. Sam Stevens could be another good choice. I mean, I already know he's going to be somewhat popular, but either way, feel comfortable picking any of these golfers, which is a very long-winded way of coming full circle and saying, my name is Eric and I approve this message. 1 to 3 golfers from the last year's 6 bucket. Go for it. Absolutely. Feel confident in it. Feel comfortable with it. Select whoever. So moving on to the last week bucket. Where are we at? 37 minutes in. Okay. We might have to go a little bit faster than this. But this is kind of, I want to be thorough with all of this. Last week ones, golfers who finished inside the top 20 last year. I want to make this note right away. This way we can go through this pretty quick. Golfers who played the week before don't really show up inside the top 10. Part of that is because there aren't a lot of golfers who played the week before that come into the Masters. Like literally, at most, or on average, I should say, we've had 8 golfers who have top 20'd the week before coming into this event. This year, we have 9. Then you have around 4 golfers from the last week 2 bucket. We've got 7. Normally, we see 3 from the last week 3 bucket. We have 0. 1.69 for last week 4 buckets. We've got 1. Typically 10 golfers who missed the cut from the week before. We have 5. So the numbers are all up and down. Nothing is super consistent, but we can just remember each of these buckets 1 through 5 are 0 to 2 buckets. So really, we're trying to figure out, should we change any of these to maybe 0 to 3? I think that's really it. And it's probably just the last week 1 bucket. So let's take a look. Go back to the cheat sheet. And for this, we just go into last week ones. These are all, again, all the golfers that top 20 the week before, including Sami Välimäki, Andrew Novak, and Christopher Wrighton, who are all debutants. Michael Kim, JJ Spawn, Siwoo Kim, Bobby Mack, Fleetwood, and Oberg. So I do like 2 as the max. Really, I do. It makes me like Fleetwood a little bit more, makes me like Oberg a little bit more. I don't really care for Bobby Mack, but we've seen Bobby Mack has been in some buckets that we want to select at least 1 from, or close to. So I guess I don't mind. Not so much I don't mind Bobby Mack, but yeah, this projection is a max of 2, and it literally could just be Oberg and Fleetwood that represent this bucket inside the top 10, or only one of them. I mean, listen, Bobby Mack, as he's playing now, is better than Michael Kim, Sami Välimäki, Andrew Novak, and Christopher Wrighton. But I would much rather pair up Fleetwood with one of these guys down here instead of Bobby Mack. And the same thing would apply for Oberg. So I don't want to play more than 2. And we'll just go right on to the last week 2 bucket. This is a 0 to 2 as well. Is there anybody here that we absolutely have to play? Not really, no. I don't feel confident in any of these golfers. I do like McNeely and I do like Marco Penge, but I'm not super confident in Hideki Matsuyama. You know, 8,900, if he just continues finishing inside the 20, you know, inside the top 30, I should say, is that going to be good enough? Nah, not really. And he's not even driving the ball all that well. Maybe we could pull up his last 7 weeks. Driver's a little bit better. He's gaining 0.2 strokes. That's actually pretty decent because if I took the last year stats, look at that, it's negative. So he's figured something out to some extent. Don't mind that. Marco Penge coming in with just fantastic off the tee stats. Fantastic. Yeah, more to look into. But all I'm going to say is 0 to 2 as the projection for this bucket is absolutely correct. So let's move on. We're just looking at projections right now. Last week, 4 bucket. There's only one golfer in it, and that's Jordan. He finished 63rd last week. If we go to the bucket system on the website and I look at last week 4s, it's kind of interesting because, first of all, there haven't been a lot of golfers in this bucket. So I have last week 4s. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, here are your totals for each year. 2 last year, 3 in 2024. Then we had 0 in 23, 0 in 22, 1 in 21, 0 in 2020, 2 in 19, and then it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. We look at the top 10 counts. We had 1 in 2024, 1 in 2019. That's it. We've only had 2, 2014 and 2019. So we had 3 total golfers in 2024, 2 total golfers in 2019. Who were our guys? It was Collin Morikawa and Tony Finau. That was your 2024 guy, was Collin Morikawa at 8,400. And in 2019, it was Tony Finau. These are your top 20 finishers. If I bring out everybody and we look at all the price tags, guys, I know this is one of those weird things just to say because it really doesn't have any relevance, but the only 2 AK iterations that we have had have finished inside the top 5. And they were coming in with good course history, with a top 20 finish from the year before. Remember, we're not looking at last year golfers right now. We're looking at last week 4s. It's this nasty 60 to 80 place finish from the week before. And we've got Morikawa and Finau with just awful, you know, finishes from the week before, but, you know, 8,400 and 8,200 alike. 19.25. What is Jordan's? His course history is 23.08. So he's kind of on that same trajectory that Collin Morikawa was on at 8,400. That's a commonality. I understand that's, you know, really trying to make something out of nothing. But if there's a good reason to play Jordan Spieth, we have it. We have it now. Last week 5s. This is also a 0 to 2 bucket. Golfers who missed the cut from last week. Remember, Straka and Henley are basically no-goes. Like, it just, we've only seen one guy finish inside the top 10, and his name was Rory McIlroy, that had a missed cut from the year before and a missed cut the week before. So we're probably going to stay away from that. The rest of the guys don't really care that much for. I could make this a 0 to 1 bucket. I think that's what I'm going to do. So if you get the optimizer from me and you actually disagree with me for this bucket right here, you change it on your own. I don't want to see more than 2. I don't want to see more than 1 golfer from this bucket. So I'm going to keep it. Just I'm going to change it and then run with this tomorrow when I build lineups. Okay. Moving on to the next bucket. So it's last week's 6s. Now, this is the tricky part. I don't think we even changed this because I don't think it really matters. None of the other buckets showed us that we want to play 1 or 2 or 3. Like 3 or more is what would change this projection. But if you look, this says 4 to basically 9. My max minimum is 3. My max maximum is 6. So it'll always be a 3 to 6 bucket. And the thing is, we just went over all the other buckets and did not see a single one of them that we wanted to play more than 2 of. And we certainly didn't change any of the minimums. So I'm really comfortable making this a 3 to 6 bucket and leaving it as is. So we move on to our course history bucket and then recent form. So change the stat category on the bucket system, the Google sheet that's available to you guys, and we'll drill down into course history. This is going to be kind of interesting. 0 to 2 course history ones, we have 5 where we normally see around 11. Now, I think what happened is some of our best golfers last year just didn't have a super good finish and bumped themselves into this bucket, which is just now, there are so many golfers that fall inside this projection. It's crazy. Okay. Let's move to course history. Course history ones. You got Scotty Scheffler, Rahm, Oberg, Morikawa, and Matt McCarty. There's no way we make this a 3 bucket because likely the only way you can probably do it, first of all, Matt McCarty doesn't have enough. I don't have enough confidence in Matt McCarty to, follow up his 14th place finish last year with a better finish this year. Could it happen? Sure. Is it likely? No. But we have Collin Morikawa, Oberg, Rahm, and Scheffler. The only way you can get up to 3 golfers is going Rahm, one of these 2 9Ks, and McCarty, or Rahm and these 2 9Ks. Because if you start with Scheffler, I have built lineups. You can go Scheffler and Oberg. You can go Scheffler and Morikawa, but you go Stoneman for your 6K range for the next 4 golfers. And that is not a place you want to be. It's not good at all. So the only way to do it would be Rahm, Oberg, and Morikawa. And there are already question marks with Morikawa's back that I don't think you can actually anchor in your lineups around Morikawa and feel comfortable about it. Unless you're just trying to play the game theory angle, because I bet you he's going to be owned in less than 5% of lineups because of how bad his back is. It is Monday currently. He has not hit any iron shots or any drivers at the range at the Masters. Seems like he's just trying to preserve himself, which is not a good sign. Not a good sign. Speculation, but still not a good sign. So yeah, we keep this as 0 to 2 bucket. And also Scotty Scheffler's in this bucket, so no matter what, we would make that min 0. So it could either be 0 to 3 or 0 to 2. I'm going to keep it 0 to 2. Course history 2s. This is the big bucket, 3 to 6. I'm going to try to make an argument to make this a 2 to 6 bucket, maybe a 2 to 5 bucket, because this is so large. I've never seen this for this bucket at all. So going back to the cheat sheet at SweetSpotDFS.com. Again, this is free for you guys. Drill down into course history 2s. And you can see it's all of this yellow. It's 20 to 40th place finish. It's their average finishing position. Starts with Rory at $11,600. 11.6. Then it's Bryson at 10.2. Xander at 9.6. Fleetwood at 9.3. Rose. Listen, I'm just going to spare you the details. This is a 3 to 6 bucket through and through. There are so many good options. Like, I was just talking about how Jordan Spieth seems like a good selection to pick. All the buckets so far that we've seen Jordan Spieth in, we do want to select him. You could easily do that DeChambeau Fleetwood into Spieth lineup. In fact, is that what I had said? Or was it? No, it was Bryson, because it was the last year bucket. Yeah, it was Bryson, Fleetwood, and then Jordan. Or it was Rahm, Fleetwood, and Jordan. That's kind of what it was. But we could do Bryson instead. So you could do Bryson, Fleetwood, Spieth, and that's where we get our minimum of 3, but we can play up to 6. I think 3 is just the right number. And even Justin Thomas is in there, and we also tried to build the lineup that way, where I think it had Xander. It was like Xander, Fleetwood, Jordo, and JT. I think that's what it was, right? That was a perfect lineup. That would mean I shouldn't say a perfect lineup, but that fits those projections, 3 to 6. So I'm keeping it 3 to 6, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's pretty smart. Okay, 1 to 3 course history 3 golfers. So let's change the bucket from 2 to 3. Cam Young is in this bucket. Cam Young, Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, Sepp Straka, Minwoo Lee, Nikolai Højgaard, Jake Knapp, so on and so forth. So 1 to 3. I think the best number, let's see, let me try to do the math here. If we wanted to play all these guys somewhat equally, or how many? Okay, so 6 golfers. If we can find 6 golfers, 16% would be our exposure, and would we be okay playing 16%? I think we can make the argument that we do want to play Cam Young probably in 20% of our lineups. I think I said with Byron, I want to play him somewhere between, I think I said 24% of lineups. So I guess I'll keep that there. Shane Lowry would be like 6. Tyrrell Hatton would be like 6. Sepp Straka would be like 6. Minwoo Lee would be 12 at most. Nikolai would probably be 12. Knapp would be 12. Actually, I do like Knapp. Knapp might be 16% for me. Homa, 6 to 8. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to add all these numbers up to equal over 100, and I don't think we get there. The reason why over 100 matters is when I set my exposures, if I can't get golfers from this bucket over 100%, like combined, this is not a 1 to 3 bucket. And I'm making that argument right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not anchoring around Cam Young, this is not a 1 to 3 bucket. This is a 0 to 3 bucket. And you know what? I'm making that change right now. So this course history 3 bucket, we're changing that 0 to 3. And I feel very comfortable with that. Okay, cool. Good to this is part of the reason of going through these projections. 0 to 2 course history 4s. I just looked at this course history 3 bucket and I feel a little bit more validated because of it. I mean, we've seen 0 to 2 in the optimal lineup 81% of the time. So I would imagine that number is what, last 13 years we've seen 10. Top 5 frequencies. I mean, the success rate's 4%. If you were to do that as a number, 4% for top, I mean, we don't need top 5s. We need top 10s. And that's an 11% success rate. So we can make that 10. There are 19 golfers in this bucket. That means 2 at most is what you'd probably want to play. Sounds about right to me. Like, I wouldn't want to play more than 2, which makes trying to grab 3 golfers a bit challenging. Yeah, I mean, you really have to drop down into here to get 3 golfers, so I'm cool with just keeping it. Yeah, 0 to 3. I'm going to live with that. The thing is, we built some really good lineups, you know, that had like Jake Knapp in it. I think there was another lineup that, if I recall, that was good. Had, who was it? Kurt Kitayama in it. So it was like Kurt Kitayama and Jake Knapp, but those are only 2 guys out of this whole selection. I don't know. What you guys can make of that is maybe you keep it 1 to 3 on your end and make sure you grab one of those golfers, because you never know. That's why the bucket system's so great. You just never know. And then you just go with it. 0 to 2 course history 4s. So moving on. Course history 4s. 0 to 2. So we've got Sam Burns, Woodland, Clark, Noren, Harmon. Yeah, and then it's a bunch of randos. This is a 0 to 2 bucket through and through. I didn't even like anybody to really pick from. Like, Gary Woodland looks, you know, feels like a good choice. But Clark, not a great course fit. Noren, not a great course fit. Harmon, not a great course fit. Even Burns, not really a good course fit. Like, yeah. Okay. Yep, we can move on. The rest of these are 0 to 2s. We only have 2 golfers in this next bucket, so we can probably just breeze through this one. Course history 5s. Carlos Ortiz. He's one of my favorite golfers this week. I mean, he's a good value. Missed cut. That says course history. Okay. I mean, that's okay. We can make, you don't have to anchor around those guys. You can just allow it to happen. And then obviously these are all the debutants. You don't want more than 2 of these golfers. But you remember, don't feel afraid to play any of them, including like the expensive golfers. Well, I should say this. Goddard's really the only quote unquote expensive golfer. And You know, he would fit the Will Zalatoris role that we talked about earlier. He would fit the Sung J.M. When they were coming into the Masters at their first time, they were playing really good golf. So too was Ludwig. So, got her up. You can make that. You can make that that comparison that way. Jacob Bridgman actually kind of fits that way better than any of those other golfers. So yeah, I like Bridgman a little bit more than the rest of these golfers. But these 6K golfers down here, feel free to play any of them, honestly. Maybe not the amateurs down here like FIFA and Ethan Fang. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I don't know. Don't really care. And that was our course history buckets. So now we go into our recent form buckets. And again, I didn't have to make any changes except for that one bucket that we did. Course history 3 that was a modification that I made. Now we're moving on to the recent form buckets, which 3 of them have at least 1. So this makes lineup building a little clunky sometimes. Let's just double check to see if these numbers are correct. So recent form 1s, 1 to 4. That's kind of what we're looking at. So again, go into the bucket system or the bucket filters, and we put in recent form 1s. And guess who's in this bucket? Scotty Scheffler. So the Scotty effect means we drop down the minimum by 1. So when we look at this, 1 to 4 would turn into 0 to 4. And I don't know if that's the correct way to go about it. Let's just take a look at the rest of the golfers. We have Ludwig, Xander, Colin, Tommy, Cam Young, Fitzpatrick, McIntyre, Batia, Minwoo, Jacob Bridgman. Oh my God. Yeah, okay. So in order to, this kind of goes back to what we said. If we're playing at least one of these guys, the collective ownership for each one of these guys has to be over 100%. So adding each of the exposures that we're going to set for each of these golfers, I mean, I can already tell you, Scheffler's going to be probably in, I would say, 16% of my lineups. Ludwig will probably be in 14%, so that's 30. Xander's probably going to be, he's going to be north of 20, but he's going to be like, let's just make it 25. Make it, you know, some easier numbers to go with. So that's a collection or a collective of 65. Colin Morikawa, I find very fascinating. I watched a video of his that said he picks himself to win the Masters this year. I don't know when it was made. I think it was made after his back injury. I want to believe it was within the last week or two because Justin Thomas was a part of it. To be honest, I think it was a bunch of golfers that were not in the Valero Texas Open. So I don't know when it was made. But if he did choose himself and he's that confident in himself, listen, I could go up to 20% and feel comfortable with that. But just for this exercise, I'm going to make it 5%, again, an even number. So we're going to go with Xander at 25. I don't know if I said 25, but I'm going to go with 25. We'll go with Colin at 5. So that's another 30 on top of the 30 here. So that's 60%. Tommy's going to get at least 20% of my ownership. So that's 80. Cam Young will get over 16. Matt Fitzpatrick will get over 16. Bridgman will get like somewhere between 14 to 16. So those golfers alone make up 1, which means, yeah, I will be, I mean, some of these guys will be paired up together. So maybe the correct number to get to would be like 150%. Because some of them will be paired up, like putting a Xander lineup together with a Fleetwood or a Cam Young lineup. I mean, that would also just mean I would want to change my exposures anyways. Maybe I go 33% Xander and 27% Tommy Fleetwood. I might even do that. And then also I might go really high with Matt Fitzpatrick. I could see myself doing that. But anyways, yeah, that's fine. Recent form 2s. I think the projection's nearly similar, right? Oh, this is a 1 to 3 bucket. We have 16 golfers in the bucket this week, where we normally see 19. So it's a little bit lower. Who are our golfers here? 16 golfers. Rory McIlroy, your defending champ. It is going to be difficult for him to go to back to back, and he also has a back injury. So I don't know. I don't think we get there. Like this withdrawal 5 weeks ago was his back injury. And then he did try to play at the players. He did play through it. I don't think he really cited his back being an issue. So maybe he's good to go. Maybe he's good to go. I don't know what that means. Maybe he finished inside the top 10 and adds to the success of this bucket, which means that 1 to 3 projection would be satisfied. I don't know. But we do have some question marks in this bucket. Hideki Matsuyama, Victor Hovland, Brooks Koepka. There's Jordan, if you needed a reason to play Jordan. Can we get over 100%? I don't. Ooh. I see Adam Scott down there. I see Jake Knapp, and I see Harris English. Those are all 7K golfers that I would love to play this week. Rory for me is going to be like 10%. Decky is going to be about 10%. Victor will be 10%, so that's 30. Brooks will be 14%, that's 44. Spieth will be like 16, that's 60%. Sepp will be probably 10 or less. That's 70%. Kim, 10 or less, 80%. Corey Connors, probably 12, 14%. So I am creeping closer to 100. I think, I actually do get over 100, and probably by a considerable amount. Okay, we can keep this a 1 to 3 bucket too, which is just, it's crazy. The next bucket's really challenging to anchor. It's 2 to 5. So we already have 1 to 3s, or 1 to 4, 1 to 3, and now a 2 to 5. This is where it might be a bit challenging, but then if you look at the rest of the buckets, these are all buckets that aren't worth picking golfers out of. At least we'll get there. So recent form 3s, 2 to 5. Can we get 2 to 5? Oh my God. These are low price golfers. A lot of glue pieces here. JT is your most expensive golfer from this bucket. Then it's Shane Lowry, Chris Gotterup, Cantlay. Can I make an argument for at least 2 of these golfers? Up to 5? A lot of our 6K golfers are down here, including Sam Stevens, who I like, including Michael Brennan, who I like, Ryan Gerard, who I like. I don't really care for any of the other guys, but maybe it's a good reason to get on some of these guys. Can this actually go over 200%? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. This is difficult. Here's one other thing to note. Let me go back to the recent Form 1 bucket. So this one has some expensive golfers, right? Let's say we pick 2 golfers out of it. Let's say we go with Xander and Fleetwood. There's 2 golfers right there. So we grab 2 from there and we go into this recent form. Let's grab Jordan and Jake Knapp. So that's 2 more. And so far, I think we have a decent lineup currently being built that still has some flexibility with salary. If we go into this recent form 3 bucket, do we want to finish our lineup with golfers from this bucket? And it would probably be looking at a lot of the 7K golfers, or maybe one of these expensive or, 7K and above golfers to go with 6K. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really feel that confident in having to select 2 of these guys. Like, let's go ahead and put that into our optimizer and see what happens. So Xander and Tommy, again, that was from our recent form 1 bucket. So there's Xander and Tommy. And then we wanted from the recent form 2 bucket, Jordan. And who was the other guy? I don't quite remember. Recent form 2. I said who? There's Jordan. Oh, Jake Knapp. Okay. Jordan and Jake Knapp. I mean, I still have a good chunk of salary left. So those 4 golfers together. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to drop this recent form 3 bucket down to 1 right now and just see what happens. How many does it pick? It does pick 2. Recent form 3s. It does pick 2. It doesn't even try recent form 4, 5, or 6. It actually picked Justin Thomas as one of them. And I imagine Kurt Kitayama is the other guy. $6,800, which actually I don't mind. Kurt Kitayama seems like a good choice. Let's double check. Recent form threes. Yeah, Kurt Kitayama is in this bucket. I don't hate it. We had JT and Kurt Kitayama. Let's take a look at those other buckets and just make sure that what we see we just don't like enough. Justin Rose is in the recent form 4 bucket to go with Griffin, who I don't really care for. Clark, I don't really care for. Bradley, I don't really care for. I don't mind Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. Kiefer, Riley, Haotong, Willett. So basically, actually, let's bring in all of these buckets. Actually, no. We'll go one by one. Is there anyone here that we absolutely have to play? If you are saying yes behind the screen, and you agree with anchoring around Xander, Fleetwood, and Xander, Fleetwood, Jordan, and also Jake Knapp. Like, those are 4 golfers that you don't mind anchoring around, or maybe you saw different names in that recent form 2 bucket. That counts for 4 golfers. If we keep this recent form 3 bucket a 2 to 5 projection, that means all 6 of our golfers will be picked in these 3 buckets, meaning we will not ever select anyone between recent form 4, 5, and 6. So is there anybody in this recent form 4 bucket that you have to play? Personally, I don't think there is. Haotong, I do want to play. I do want to play some Danny Willett. I do want to play Rasmus Niergaard Peterson. Otherwise, the rest of them I don't really care for. Davis Riley, Byron was making a case for Davis Riley. I guess it's not a terrible choice, but I only really want to play one of these guys. So I'm actually going to make that distinction right now. 1 for recent form 4s. I only want to play up to 1. If for whatever reason you feel different about it and you get this optimizer, change that to a 2. Recent form 5s. These are golfers coming in with really bad recent form. There's only 2 of them. It's Brian Campbell and Mason Howell. Yeah, I'm pretty cool with not playing either of them. Pretty cool. So that's going to be a 0 to 1 bucket as well. And then recent form 6s. These are golfers coming in with no recent form because they're on live. Guess what? There's too many good golfers. Well, no. There's really just 2. Bryson and Rahm. Oh, 3. And Reed. So if you like 2 of these guys and you want to anchor your lineups around 2 of them, because guess what? You could. Yeah, that automatically makes that 1 bucket a 1. That makes this recent form 3 bucket a 1. Because what could happen, I mean, you can build lineups a lot of different ways. You know, if I took out Fleetwood and I bring in Bryson, so we're doing Bryson, Xander, and say Matt Fitzpatrick. Well, let's try this. Let's just do this. And yeah, let's keep Jake Knapp. See what happens with this recent form 3 bucket. Does it select another guy? Does it make sure? Oh, it does do 2. Berger gets added to this one. Wow. Okay, let's try another one. There it's selected 1. 2 recent form 1s, 2 recent form 2s, 1 recent form 6, because Bryson is one of those guys. And this lineup seems pretty solid. We get Minwoo in there with Jake Knapp and Nick Taylor. We run it a couple more times. What do we see? We see more guys that are, yeah, only 1 recent form 3 here as well. And it's the same guys, right? It's Minwoo and Jake Knapp. Let's kick out Minwoo, although Minwoo seems like a pretty good selection at this event. I mean, that lineup is very solid. It's very good. We only have 1 recent form 3 golfer here. Let's try it again. Oh, Jake Bridgman. I like that. Yeah, we actually get 3 recent form 2s in this lineup. I don't really care for Brian Harmon, but still. There, now there's 2 recent form 3s. I imagine Michael Kim might be in that. I mean, there's Sung Jae. I'm cool with keeping this at 1 for the recent form 3 bucket. God, it's not going to be Brian Campbell. I would not be picking Brian Campbell. Then it breaks. So yeah, I mean, okay, let me run this optimizer with no one locked in and see the likelihood it selects a recent form 3. It does select 2. Bryson, Xander, Fitzpatrick, Knapp. I didn't even lock those guys in. It just built that lineup. Harry Hall and then Kurt Kitayama. Interesting. So Kurt Kitayama and Harry Hall are your recent form 3 golfers. Cheap guys. This lineup, we only do 1 recent form 3. Okay. So here's the thing that I've learned with the bucket system. We have no idea how the top 10 is going to shake out. No idea whatsoever. And with these high maximums, 4 and 3, you want to know what could happen? And this is kind of, this defeats the purpose of having ones set down the line here. What could happen is you could have 3 golfers from this bucket finish inside the top 10. You could have 3 golfers from this bucket finish inside the top 10, and you could probably build a lineup with those 6 golfers. It might work out, it might not, because like recent form 1 bucket has a lot of expensive golfers. So I think at most you could only do 2, although this one shows 3. I'm guessing it's what? So recent form 1s. Who do we have? We got Xander will be a 1, Fitzpatrick's a 1, and Bridgman is a 1. That's also just really good, right? I really like Bridgman. Why wouldn't we want to play, you know, a lineup with those 3 guys that have really good recent form? I know I'm going to want to build lineups very similar to this. Very similar to this. Such a good lineup. This is a lineup that actually Byron would like. So I'm going to save this off to the side. Ooh, actually, this is your guys' optimizer, so I'm not going to save this here. I am going to paste it in my Discord with him. Okay. Let's move on. Actually, we figured out the recent form buckets. That's what we just decided. 1's all the way down. Okay, the recent form 3 bucket. I do want to come back to that because is there absolutely anybody that we have to make sure we have at least 1 of? There's Kurt Kitayama. That's great. I don't mind playing him. I don't mind playing Harry Hall. I don't care to play Rasmus. I don't care to play Berger. I don't care to play Spawn or Woodland. I do like Penge. Don't care to play Homa. Kind of like Burns. Kind of like Im. Kind of like Day. Don't care for Henley. Don't care for Cantlay. I do like Goddard. Don't care for Lowry. I do like Thomas. And then our cheap guys down here, there's Sam Stevens. That's great. Michael Brennan also is good. Ryan Gerard I like too. So you know what, the 6Ks down here, there's enough of them to feel pretty comfortable adding one of those guys to our lineups. Okay. This is a long discussion right now. Why it's taking me so long to try to figure out is because they're absolutely 100% of my lineups needing to play at least one of these golfers. And I'm really toying with the idea of no. But I also have to remember, like, the bucket system's very successful at determining these projections. So I have to feel like one of these guys is going to finish inside the top 10. Let's look. Let's give ourselves a little bit more comfort. This is what this bucket system is meant to do. The bucket system on the website, it should give you a little bit more, get out of there, more comfortability. So if we select recent form 3s, we've seen at least 2 inside the top 10. Now we have seen 0 one time, it looks like, in the optimal lineup. And we've seen 83% of the years have at least 1 top 5, but not all of them. We do see 4 to 7 top 20s. That's one of the highest minimums. So I can already tell this recent form 3 bucket is probably going to include a lot of low price golfers. So here's the thing. We come down here, And I'm going to put a sort, or I'm going to filter out. I just want to look at top 20s. That's all I care about. It's looking at top 20s. And let's go by finishing position from top to bottom. And maybe we go like this, 5,001. Yeah, it gets rid of all it gets rid of all the empties, the blanks. Hideki in 2021 won this at 8,300. Ricky at 9,000 finished second. Justin Rose finished second. Let's just talk about the price tags and the names that go with them. $9,500 Brooks, $8,500 Xander, $7,500 Tommy Fleetwood in 2024. 2024 Tommy Fleetwood was $7,500. Are you kidding me? What the heck? He wasn't even coming in with bad recent form, and he had a top 20 or a top 10 the week before. That's insane. Peters was a debutante. He was a debutante. He had played well at the Genesis. Henley, $7,000. Colin Morikawa was 10-2, $9,900 Rory, $9,100 Day, $7,400 Simpson, $6,500 Fratelli, $6,900 Leishman. Then it's Im, Rose, Fitzpatrick, Kjeltzen, Kevin Chappell, CT Pan. So here's what I'm seeing. Soren Kjeltzen, he's kind of an outlier. Dylan Fratelli is also an outlier. So 6K golfers from kind of overseas. Everybody else is a name. Peters, I guess we could also call a Euro or a golfer from overseas. Everybody else is a name. Everybody else is established from this bucket that has finished so far inside the top 7. But like, if I go down here, we got Sung Jae, Xander, Zach Johnson, Leishman. Mahan was, dude, believe it or not, Mahan was playing such good golf way back in the day that I think he was, I wouldn't say contending to be world number 1, but he was playing so good that he was up in that echelon of golfers. ZJ, Zalatoris, Berger, these are all names, guys. Harding. Okay, so if they're not names, they're Euros that we haven't heard of up until that point. I mean, Peters we had, and I imagine Fratelli had one on tour. That would be the John Deere Classic. That's how he got into the 2020 Masters, my guess. So here we go. Going back into the cheat sheet, looking at these golfers. JT, no name, or he is an established golfer. Lowry is an established golfer. Goddard is not, but he's a stud. He will be an established golfer. Cantlay is established. Henley's established. So like all these guys they are established. Marco Penge, that could be your Euro. Random Euro. Who else down here could be just a random Euro? I understand your guys' first lean might be Rasmus, but I think he's established at this point. I suppose Christopher Wrighton for sure. Aldrich already has a win on tour, so he's already established. Sammy Valimaki, he has a win on tour as well, so no. Okay, going back to this, can we find any other commonalities with all these golfers? Let's see. Most of these golfers did not play the week before, but if they did, they played okay. If not, just downright good. Yeah, there really are no commonalities. If I had the bucket combos live, that would be sweet, but I don't. So unfortunately, I can't really figure out what would be best. I'll say a top 20 doesn't really hurt from the week before. So like a Wrighton, Novak, Sammy Valimaki, even Michael Kim. We kind of went over golfers who had a win the week before have not shown up and played well at the Masters. Even the one that Corey Connors did, or the two that he did not come over and finish strong. It was like 30th place, 40th place. Yeah. Okay. Again, going back to the bucket system, I'm going to go by year. We'll go year and then finishing position. So last year in this recent Form 3 bucket, it was Rose and Sungjae with Xander and Zach Johnson. Harris English was 12th, but I guess I don't really care. Yeah, maybe I do. Let's move our finishing position to 14. So in 2025, that was a pretty good year. We 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 golfers inside the top 12. And they all had finishes from the Masters the year before. 3 of them had missed cuts. 2024, you had Fleetwood, Zalatoris, Cam Davis, and Matthew Pavon. Don't really have much there. So far, each year there was a top 20 the week before. But it looks like when we get to 2023, that's not going to be. Henley, Fitzpatrick, Gary Woodland. We're in that bucket that finished inside the top 14. They all had finishes the year before with decent course history. 2022, we had a bunch of them. Morikawa, Sungjae, Willett, Kokrak, Kevin Na, and Gooch. I'm not really seeing anything that's that common. Kind of getting stuck here, and I don't want to spend too much time trying to think. Well, if you guys see anything, let me know. Post it down in the comments down below. But I really don't. It just makes this all as clear as mud. Like, I guess I could see multiples of these guys finishing inside the top 10. I just don't want to. Gosh, okay, that's the thing. That's the thing I need to look at. If I come down here and we look at top 10 counts, it's 4, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. So at least 2 every single year inside the top 10. And we have a number as low as 20, a number as low as 20, and a number as high as 31. So it lives in that 20 to 30 range. And this week we have 30. Oh my God. So at least 2. Yeah, I could see at least 2 be inside the top 10, and they're not expensive. They're really not expensive. None of these guys are too expensive to put in any of our lineups. And I think it's going to be probably one of these low 6Ks with maybe one of these, you know, higher like 7Ks. And that's the other thing we can look at. Let's just put in top 10s. If we had that top 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 or whatever it was. I mean, what the heck? Okay, there was 4 in 2025. Okay. All right. I was going to say the first year I'm looking at has 4 already, but it's 2 7Ks, a 9, and a 6. Then it's a 7 and a 9. Then it's a 7 and an 8. Then it's a 10 and an 8. Then it's an 8 and a 6. Or 8, 6, 7. 9. Jeez. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, cool. That's in 2021. All the prices except for 10K. 2020 was a 6 and a 6. 2019, 9, 8, 9, 7. 2018 was 9, 9, 8. 2017 was 7, 6. 2016 was 6, 6, 6. 2015 was 7, 7. Okay. Looks like a lot of 7s are represented here. If we look at all the 7 names, Rose, Sungjae, Fleetwood, Henley, Rose, Simpson, Peters. Peters is really the only oddball out of that name. And then there's Hunter Mahan and Zach Johnson down here. But yeah, Peters would be the only oddball name there. We look at our 6Ks. Zach Johnson, past Masters champion. Mark Leishman. Fratelli's the oddball here. CT Pan. Chappell, Fitzpatrick, Berger. These are names. Berger, that was his debutante Masters experience, 6,200. So these would be golfers that should have. I guess it doesn't really matter. CT, yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. Going back, these low price golfers, I mean, Sam Stevens, you could fit that mold of a 6K golfer that we expect a little, you know, some of. Even Aldrich to some extent, we expect good things from. Maybe not so much Wrighton, but Wrighton could fit that Soren Kjeldsen type of, you know, I mean, he was a Dane. Christopher Wrighton's a Norwegian, so maybe there's a Scandinavian connection there. Novak's good. Välimäki, Finlander. Nick Taylor is established, so maybe it's a Nick Taylor week. Razorman, he's iffy. Michael Brennan seems like he's going to be a name. The guy is just an ultimate driver of the golf ball. Him is established. Echeverria. So, like, who's our 7K golfers that kind of fit those molds? Cantlay would be one for sure. I'm already kind of out on Henley, but Day, even Sung Jae, I know that'll make Wheels Up somewhat happy. Burns, even, he's established. You could say Marco or Max Homa's established. Woodland, okay, so all these guys are live. I don't mind playing up to 1. I don't think I'm going to try to force in 2 because I just don't think the buckets are going to really lend itself. I want flexibility with the buckets. Okay. Thank you for letting me do this deep dive. I know it took a little while, but I wanted to make sure I get this right because, you know, that's why we look at these buckets. That Recent Form 6 bucket has those live golfers, Rahm and DeChambeau in it. Recent Form 1 has expensive golfers in it as well. So if you start there, you don't really have flexibility to grab 2 other golfers from Recent Form 2, 2 other golfers from Recent Form 1, or just one other, I should say. Because if you had Recent Form 3 as 2, it might not work out. So, okay. Yep. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me go through that. I know it took a little while, but I really wanted to think it through so you guys could see what I was thinking. And yeah, it works out. Okay. Okay. We'll go over the salary buckets, but we're going to start here with strokes gain 1. And under the strokes gain 1 bucket, it is a 2 to 5 projection. I could see this maybe being a 1 to 5 projection. And of course, we do have that right here, 2 to 5. I imagine these will be expensive golfers. Not all of them, never mind. Okay, so Scheffler's in it. Remember, I automatically drop it I drop it by 1, the minimum, if Scheffler's in it, but can we still make an argument to have 2 other golfers do we think are going to finish inside the top 10? McIlroy, we're kind of already out on, kind of. I do like Rahm. I like Oberg. I like Schauffele. I like Fleetwood. I like Cam Young. I like Fitzpatrick. So, I mean, out of those 5 golfers, 2 of those guys can finish inside the top 10 absolutely easily. By the way, Patrick Cantlay in that Recent Form 3 bucket that we were just talking about, that we're having a hard time figuring out. I mean, Henley's also in that bucket, and so too is Chris Goddard. So this kind of combination thing might be helpful. Maybe that's a good reason to pick someone like a Patrick Cantlay or a Goddard or even a Henley. Despite me kind of going, the last year miscut and last week miscut, not super great. Yeah, that could be something. Jake Knapp is in this bucket, so that's a low price 7K golfer. We have no 6K golfers in this bucket. So this being a 2 to 5 bucket, I'm absolutely okay with. Because I know a lot of my ROM lineups will start with Xander or Fleetwood. Or, I mean, and even Cam Young or Fitzpatrick. Like, we're going to have a lot of good combos that come from that. Definitely over 100. We can get over 100% from this bucket. Easy, if not 200%. Yeah, we get over 200% pretty easy. It will have to require you to figure out what exposures up here make sense. So I guess if I were to go through this, I mean, if I put Scheffler at 20, Rory at 12, let's go Scheffler 18 and 12. I know I think I changed that before, but that's 30%. Rahm at like 24%, 25. Let's go 25. So we have 30 plus 25. That's 55. Let's do Oberg at say 15. So that's 60, 70. Sorry, 70. Xander. Okay, this is where we probably get into the 33%. Rahm can be 33. Xander can be 33. Fleetwood can be 33. Cam Young can also be 33. Fitzpatrick will probably be 27. So I have 3 or 4 guys that are over 33%. That's 142%. Or is it 100? No, 132%. 30 times 4 is 120, and then 4 times 3 is 12. You just add that to the 120. That's 132. Scheffler, I said, we just put him at 20. That'd be easy. That's 152. Rory's at 10. 162. Oberg, we said 15. What's 177? And then the rest of these guys, can we put at, yeah, the rest of these guys definitely high enough ownership to be over 200%. So yeah, I say all that stuff because can we play up to 2 of these guys? Yes, without Scotty. I think so. So when it comes to this projection, 2 to 5, I think is absolutely fine. We've seen up to 3 inside the top 10. Okay, optimal lineups is something worth looking into. We've seen at least 2 inside the top 5, by the way. So, I mean, that could be a Scheffler thing, right? Scheffler could be in this bucket, and then it wouldn't be, you know, you wouldn't want 2. That's why optimal lineups have only had 1. But let's take a look. So let's go back up here, and now we're on strokes gain 1s. So we put in strokes gain 1, or we just drill down into the strokes gain 1. I want to go down to this part right here and look at all of our top 10s. That's crazy. How about this? Let's go into our optimal lineups. The years that so we've had an optimal lineup every year, but we've only seen 1 in 2024 and 2022. I think if I drill down into 2024, oh, I don't want to do that. That just ruined the other one up top. Okay, never mind. My bad. I forgot about that. Let's go back up here and select strokes gain 1. And what did we decide again? Optimal lineups. So 2024 and 2022. Those are the years I really want to look at. So 2024. Oh my God. Look at those golfers. Let's clear it all out and take a look at everybody. Only 3 missed cuts, Wyndham Clark being one of them, Jordan Spieth being another. That's notable. But look at the top 10s that we have. We've even top 12s. Davis, Schenk, Tyrrell Hatton, Xander, Fleetwood, Homa, Oberg. 9K golfers, ladies and gentlemen. Our 10K golfers did not perform well out of this bucket. A 91, 83, 75, and a 99. I mean, 99 plus 91. I mean, if you started 99, 91, 83, 75, that would have been good. That'd have been really good. So what were our years again? So that's 2024. We want 2022. Let's take a look at 2022. Scotty is your guy at 11,000. So you're playing Scotty. You're not playing Rory, which means Sungjae would. You could play Sungjae with Scotty at 11,000. So those guys work together, but you couldn't do anything more than that. So it'd only be 2 at most in the optimal lineup, but obviously there was only 1. It was Scotty and then whatever else went. Oh yeah, 2024. Who were our optimal lineup golfers here? This was the year no. This was the year Rory won. No. 2024. This is the year that Scotty won at 12,000. So was Ludwig not in the optimal? Was it just Fleetwood? Here, let's look. Pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. We want to look at 2024 Masters. Guess we'll give that time to think. We're a little bit slow right now. Actually, I can also look at it this way. So 2024. Scotty, Ludwig was in that bucket, but he was not selected. It was Tommy Fleetwood. Max Homa was not selected because Bryson was better. There's Xander at 9,900. So Xander was in that bucket. Xander was in that bucket. Homo was in that bucket. Oberg was in that bucket. And Fleetwood was in that in the top 10. In the top 10. So again, if I go back here, Oberg, Homo, Fleetwood, Xander. It was only Fleetwood. Despite, look at these finishes. They were really good. Really good. And it was what, 2022 is the other year? And it would have just been Scotty. It would have just been Scotty in 2022. If I go to 2022. Yeah, it was just Scotty. Because then there's Rory. And then we had Sungjae that was doable. So he was a part of the Sweet Spot Optimal, by the way. So you could have had those two golfers in your lineup. But yeah, that's worth noting. So 2 at most from this bucket. And if it does end up being Scotty, it might just be 1, which means the rest of these guys would not be worth playing. Two to 5. Oh my God. I'm making that a 1 to 5 bucket, guys. This will be a 1 to 5. Actually, hold on. I want to just double check. Let me clear this out. And I do just want to look at top 10 finishers. Yeah, this bucket's really good. So let's just go throughout the years. 2025, we saw 5. All in the 9K range except for Corey Connors. In 2024, 2 7K golfers, Fleetwood and Hatton. Who was our guy in 2025? Corey Connors, okay. 2023, all 9s and above. 2022, Sungjae with Scotty and Rory. 2021, you had Will Zalatoris finish really well, but you had Xander and Rom. It's all 9Ks except for the 1 7K. All ball strikers, by the way, that are showing up that are less than 9K. Everybody was a ball striker. Fleetwood, Hatton, yep. Corey Connors, yep. 2021, Zalatoris, yeah. 2020, yep. All of them like really good ball strikers. So in this cheat sheet, the guys that are 8K and less, Fitzpatrick, I would say, is a ball striker or a good approach player at least. Here, we can actually do it this way. So approach, oh my God, Jordan Spieth having really good approach. I wouldn't say Chris Gotterup is really an approach guy. I would have said Cantlay is, but he's not coming in with good approach stats. Let me use strokes gained last year. Okay, so Cantlay does look better then, and so does Henley. None of these guys down here are like super good approach players. And I guess what we can do, by the way, I have all these different views for like strokes gained stats. We go throughout the years and take a look at our guys. So 7K. Corey Connors for the year was coming in, not for the calendar year, but for 365 days was coming in with 0.533 approach. I mean, total 1.065. 2024, our 7K golfers. Hatton coming in with 0.36. Oh my God. Fleetwood 0.116. Both of them over 1 stroke gain total. 2023 didn't count. 2022, Sungjae. Nearly 1 stroke, but oh my God. So the approach not as important as I thought. Zalatoris coming in with a just crazy approach. Strokes gained total, again, over a stroke. 2020, our 7K golfers. Not super good for Sungjae there. 0.761. 2019, Tony Finau, over 1 stroke. Okay. If I go back to the cheat sheet and we look at last year's stats, everybody looks pretty good. The only golfers we probably kick out right away is actually Ryan Fox and probably Jordan Spieth. Believe it or not. Looks like I forgot some conditional formatting. Crazy approach. You know, we can feel comfortable with these guys right here in their approach stats. So like that's where Jordan lives in, but we'd want like 0.48 or better. So like Cam Young looks good. Ludwig, Rory, yeah, they look good. McNeely even. We can be comfortable with playing a McNeely. and a Harris English. And a Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp is primed. Oh, Jake Knapp is our 7K golfer for sure. Okay. Good exercise. I enjoy it. Spent way too much time on that bucket. So 2 to 5. Well, let's look at the other buckets. 0 to 2. This is going to probably be a 0 to 3 for strokes gained 2. Yeah, we spent way too much time on that. Strokes gained 2. Bryson. Here, let me go back to this. So we have Bryson, Sepp, J-Day, Nikolai Højgaard, Jacob Bridgman, Burns, Woodland, Højgaard, McCarty, Houghton. Okay, so yeah, 0 to 2 is fine. I don't see myself playing up to 3 of these guys at all. 0 to 2 is fine. So I think what I had was 0 to 3, if I remember correctly, for the strokes gain. 0 to 3, we're going to make that 0 to 2. Strokes gain 3 looks like we want 1. So right here, 1 to 3. Let's take a look. Strokes gain 3. It goes Morikawa, Koepka, Lowry, Hatton, Siwoo Kim, Minwoo Lee, Corey Connors, Im, Penge, Scott. So it actually drops quite a bit. I don't want to play at least one. This is a 0 to 3 bucket for me. Just all based off of the golfers that are in it. Way too many question marks. There are golfers that I do like, don't get me wrong, but I'm not 100% ownership for everybody in this bucket. There are 26 total golfers. Looks like I need to update this, but we normally see around 20. How is this projection so high? 192 golfers? Am I looking at the right thing? Yeah, strokes gained 3. 208 is what I have as the strength of field. So I'm missing 2 golfers. Somehow? Whatever. 1 to 3. Yeah, that's a 0 to 3 for me, guys. 0 to 3 for strokes gained 3. I'm absolutely cool with that being 0 to 3. Looking at strokes gained 4, that's also a 1 to 3. Strokes gained 4, we get Rose, Reed, Matsuyama, Hovland, Thomas, Batia. It's the same thing, guys. This is not a 1 to 3 bucket. This is a 0 to 3 bucket. Just looking at the golfers here, I do not want them. I wonder why my numbers are so weird. Strokes gained 1, 356 for the strength of field. 325. How? 817. That's pretty close to what I'm looking for. 356. 208. That's probably the big difference. It's a huge difference. 208 versus 126. So some golfers must be in this bucket that, okay, so I had 15 and I have 26 total golfers in this bucket. This should be positive strokes gain off the tee and positive putting. Oh, no. Positive strokes gain off the tee and negative putting. Every one of these guys, except for Sam Stevens, who's break even. That probably shouldn't count, but it does. And everybody is positive off the tee. Okay, so it's just the difference of how strokes gain stats are being calculated on my spreadsheets versus this, which that's fine. I trust my website better than I trust my spreadsheets. Which means that bucket would probably be higher than 0 to 2, but we did go over it, right? Strokes gained 2 and we didn't care for it. Bryson's in it. We like that. We don't care for anyone else. Yeah. We like it, but we don't care for anyone else. Okay. Sam Burns is showing up quite a bit, and I kind of like that. 0 to 3 strokes gained 3. How about strokes gained 4? Yep, this is going to be a 0 as well. Okay, that makes life easier. 0 to 3. I'm going to save you guys all the hassle with strokes gained 5 and strokes gained 6. Those are going to be 0 to 2s. Those are just bad golfers. This would be bad strokes gained stats, strokes gained 5s, and strokes gained 6s are no strokes gained stats. So those are the kind of the rookies, the amateurs, or the old guys that, well, it wouldn't be old guys because we still have strokes gained data from last year's Masters. So we're going to skip all of that. We're actually going to skip the salaries. What I'm just going to show you with the salaries is this. 0 to 2, 10K plus golfers. I think that just makes sense. We don't have that many of them, and it would be difficult to put more than 2 in your lineup anyways. 1 to 3, 9K golfers. We've only seen a max of 1 from the 9K range in the optimal lineup. So there's something to consider there. And if we had 3 golfers that do finish inside the top 10, you do have to have the right combination of those golfers placing in order to have, you know, more than 1 golfer. But it is kind of crazy that, okay, I'm actually going to do a deep dive into that. So click on the 9Ks right here. We've seen at least 1 inside the top 10 every single year. But yeah, we have not seen more than 1 in the optimal lineup. That is nuts. Look at this. 2025, it was 1. 23, there's only 1. 2022, there's only 1. 2021, 2019, 2018, only 1. I'm going to go back to the spreadsheets and take a look at this. Why? So in 2025, it was Rory at 11,000 who won. Bryson was your only 9K golfer. That makes sense. 2024, Scotty won at 12,100, and that's why you don't have a 9K golfer in the optimal lineup, though Oberg finished second. 2023, Jordan was your only 9K golfer at $9,700. That's because Rahm won. So that's 3 years in a row that a 10K plus, 10.8K or 10.8K plus won. 2022, there's another one, Scheffler at $11,000. But Cam Smith was your 9K golfer. There's only 1, but there were you know, additional ones that did finish inside the top 10. 2021, ooh, Matsuyama won that time, but it was only Spieth in the 9K range because it was 10, 9, 8, 7 as 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2020, we had a bunch of 10K golfers up top, a bunch. But in the Sweet Spot Optimal, you did have 2 9Ks. I guess that's something else to look at. Sweet Spot Optimal. Didn't have one in 2021. 2022, it's only 1 9K. 2023, it's only 1 9K. 2024, it was 0 9Ks. 2025. You know what? I will make this argument though. If Scotty wins, I could still see the 9Ks being good enough to take down a GPP. So I could see up to 2. But if Scotty is in the winning line, oh boy. Yeah. 2019. There's enough 9Ks to finish inside the top 10. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm okay with there being 1. If you are building Scotty lineups, this has to change to 0. You know what? I'm just going to do that. I'm changing it to 0. I'm confident the optimizer will select a 9K golfer. I'm also going to change the 8K golfers to 0 as well. Throwing that out there for you guys to understand. A lot of that just comes down to if you don't have those at 0, the optimizer will never pick Scotty Scheffler lineups. And if we go over the 8K range, yeah, the projection's 1 to 3, but we've only seen a max of 2 as an optimal lineup. And if I go back to this bucket system, instead of selecting the 9K golfers, we select the 8K golfers and scroll down here. Look at this. We've only had 2 one time. That was 2024. Only once have we had 2 8K golfers in the optimal lineup. And like the optimal lineups didn't leave a lot of money on the table. 2025 left 800, 200 in 2024, I guess 1,200 in 2023, so that's not great. But the Sweet Spot Optimal only had 1 9 and 1 8. That was it. 2022 left no money on the table. 2021 left $900 on the table. Your GPP winning lineup only had one 9K golfer in it. 2020, your optimal left 900 on the table. I did have a SweetSpot optimal that did do 2 9Ks, but 0 8Ks. Your Millie Maker lineup had 0 8Ks in it. This Millie Maker actually had 3 8K golfers in it. So yeah, we could go up to 3. Let's keep it all at zeros. That makes life easier. All right, we're almost at 2 hours for the bucket system. I have made all of the updates that I find necessary, that I deem necessary for the projections. So you guys won't have to do this. Once you ask for the optimizer and you build it, or you start building lineups, you won't have to do anything with the projections whatsoever. We've done a pretty good job going over each and every one of them. If I run optimizer, here's your most optimal lineup using the criteria currently on in the bucket system for the optimizer. You get Bryson at 10-2, Xander at 9-6, Fitzpatrick, Sam Burns, Adam Scott, and Kurt Kitayama. I love that lineup. It's a lineup that I like a lot. I think Bryson might be your best value for those high priced. Well, not really. It's him or John Rahm. I guess it just depends on what the optimizer ends up selecting. Let's do a Scotty Scheffler lineup. So we're forcing Scotty Scheffler into this lineup and just checking to see what the best Scotty lineup is following the bucket criteria. It is Scheffler, Knapp, English, Scott, Rasmus Højgaard, Kurt Kitayama. I don't care for Rasmus. Let's try a different one. Scotty, Knapp, English, Scott, Berger, and Kitayama. I don't care for Berger. Scheffler into Henley. Then we get Knapp, English, Kitayama, and Grazerman. That's interesting. Scheffler, Burns, English, Scott, McNeely, and Kurt Kitayama. Yeah, it looks pretty good. But that is 4 7K golfers. And that looks like that's the only way to build somewhat decent lineups. If I force the optimizer to pick an 8K golfer with Scotty, what do we get? Go Scotty, Fitzpatrick, English, Fox, McCarty, and Stevens. Hey, I don't hate that. What else can we get out of this? Scheffler, JT. Oh, this lineup actually is pretty good. I mean, I don't really care for Ryan Fox. Let's kick him out. But hey, Fox is actually not a bad choice. We'll keep these. I'm going to bring back McNeely. Let's bring back Sam Stevens and see what the optimizer does now. I feel like I might have forgot to kick someone out. Nope. Here's a really good lineup. Scheffler, JT, English, McNeely, Kitayama, and Stevens. When we look at pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, Scheffler lineups that are successful using 14, like when he's $14,000, you tend to have an 8K golfer that's somewhat cheap like this, and then it goes into the 7K range, into the 6Ks like this. This lineup is fantastic. It's so good for a Scheffler lineup. So there's a little bit of ideas on what to do with building lineups. That's why I like to do the bucket system. It's really good with building lineups. Just unique lineups that you really don't have to worry about with ownership or anything like that. It's going to follow the bucket criteria that nobody else is doing. I think you're going to build some really high quality lineups. Let's go through the normal things that we typically do when it comes to ending one of these streams, one of these videos. Just a reminder, I am doing a Masters giveaway. It's called Win the Pot. I just recorded a video earlier today where we were at 920 subscribers, and then someone just, decided not to be subscribed anymore, which is going to happen. Here's a reminder, just for all those guys, or for everybody. When I go live on April 7th at 8 p.m., whatever the amount of subscribers I have on this channel before I run that giveaway will be the number I choose for adding money to the pot. One new subscriber adds $2 to the pot. So I started it at $20, and currently where we sit, we have 27 new subscribers. 27 times 2 is 54. 54 plus 20, we're adding 70. The pot is $74 currently. So if you're not yet subscribed, do so. That way we can add more money to this pot. And if you want to gain entries, just comment down on any of the videos, including this one. Just comment right down below. That way you can gain an entry that way. Share it on X. You can get more entries there. I think currently you can earn up to, I think, 5 or 6 entries so far. Just improves your odds. But it only takes one to win. It only takes one entry to win. Just remember that. Yeah, would love your participation. Would love your subscription. Let me reward you guys for rewarding me. That's all that I have for you guys. So thank you all for watching. I will see you tomorrow night. Goodbye.